Hey up! Now then, how you doing? Welcome back to the Yorkshire Bike Mechanics YouTube channel. My name's Dave K. I hope you're all well and you're having a good week. And this is the first video we've done from our new gaff, as you can see. In front of us, we've got something a little bit different. We've got a Brompton. We've never had a Brompton. I've worked on Bromptons before, but we've never done a video on a Brompton. This is an interesting one because I particularly like Bromptons. I've had a Brompton myself and I really enjoyed riding it. They work best on the flat as a commuter. They're quite difficult to pedal up hills. So if you live here in West Yorkshire, Sowerby Bridge or Halifax, they're quite difficult to pedal, particularly on up hills. So what we're doing to this bike today is we're going to turn it into an electric bike. We're going to add a Nano electric bike conversion kit to this Brompton and hopefully make it a little bit easier for the customer to ride. So let's have a look at the kit. So here we are. As you can see, it's a nice tidy little box, nothing big. So let's open it up and we'll have a look. See what's inside. Now I've heard quite a lot of good things about these kits when this bus has gone past. We've actually fit some switch kits to Bromptons before, and although the kits are pretty good, I had a few issues with customer service from personal experience. So let's see what we like here. Okay, got a nice little contents list. Some fitting instructions, get rid of them, and a nice little envelope. What's in this? It's not my birthday. Let's have a look. Might be a voucher or something. Oh, display control instructions. No such luck. Okay, we've got a bag full of bits. I can see there, that's the torque sensor or the cadence sensor. A few little bits and bats. We'll take a look at those in a bit. That looks like the battery mounting bracket. Bits and bobs, elastic bands, bolts, tie wraps. A little bag, as we can see. Presume that's to put the battery in. A nice little white box with a Bosch battery charger. A 6 amp battery. Put that to one side. Looks like a little bit of packing. A front wheel, including his motor. Some conversion kits use rear wheels, but you'll find that Bromptons are nearly always the front because they're easier to fold. So a ready-built wheel, all ready to go into the bike. So let's get it all sorted. Empty box. So we've got all his parts nicely laid out here. So the first thing that we need to do is fit his front wheel. So let's get this old wheel out. It's a fairly simple procedure to do. These 15mm bolts need to come off of the either end of either side. Well, let's let the tyre down because it'll probably come out of the brake caliper a little bit easier if we let that down. Put it on the right way around, Dave, it'd help. That little tab there is supposed to go in that hole. I don't know who's put the wheel on last, but okay, so we'll just gently loosen that off. This little part here which holds the front wheel on the frame when it's folded up, we need to be careful to put that back the right way. take these nuts off, put them over there. Okay. Gently slide the wheel out. Okay, put that up there, that's safekeeping. So what we need to do is, these are designed just to basically reuse the tyre on the new wheel that they've supplied. So let's get this tyre off. It's so tiny it should be really easy to get off. Those who have watched us previous tyre removal and tyre fitting videos, this shouldn't, well, that shouldn't apply to this one, because it should come off really easy. That's it. There we are. That's it. Inner tube out. There we are. Come on. That's it. Get that out there. Put that to one side. Take the tyre off. Okay. And we're going to need the rim tape as well. Take the new wheel with the motor in it. Okay. Put this tape on. Stretch that over there. Make sure the hole is in the right place for the valve to go through. Put the tyre on. Okay, it doesn't have a rotational arrow on the tyre, but there's a little emblem of a bike here that's folded up. So I always thought it's nice to actually spin that way around. So this is fairly straightforward. All we need to do is basically offer it up into the frame, take the old fittings, we'll put the right side on first. The wire needs to come out at the bottom. Feed it up through the brake caliper. And there's a little slot there. Can you see how that slides into the frame, into the fork? There we are. So we'll get that little tab on there. Okay, little washer on the end. Tighten that nut up. Okay, and then we'll get the other side on as well. Take that nut off. Okay, we need to make sure we get that little clip on there. So we'll drop that in there, put the hanger on. Okay, put his washer on and just tighten that up there. Okay, and that's nicely in its place. If you note that we've actually put the wiring for the motor on the left hand side of the bike, which is the right way for it to go around. So what we need to do now is we need to tighten these bolts up, but there's no particular torque specified for these particular bolts. So we just need to be a little bit careful. We don't want to over tighten them because obviously this motor here, we need to be very careful. So we'll get us 15mm spanner, put that up there because it's now a different size. Okay, nice and tight, but not too tight. Here we go, that's fine. That's not going anywhere. That's it. Okay. Okay, so this is the unit that we need to go on next. Now this contains all the control box and everything else, that all the cables, the sensors and the head unit goes into as well. And also this is the part that actually fits on the front of the bike that contains the battery as well, the battery holder. Now there's a little lug on the front of Bromptons. You can actually fit bags and all sorts of stuff onto these things, but we're going to put this unit on here, which is what it's designed for. So there's a little plate that goes on the outside in the little bottom of the little unit there. That goes on the front of the bike like that, And then there's 2 Allen keys, each with a little washer on there that fits to the bike. So we'll get these screwed in. So this little clip here goes in there, and it just clicks the battery on the front, so you can take the battery off and on as you need to. So that actually goes on there. So I'll get the screw for that. That goes in there. That's it. And that enables us to clip the battery on the front, so you can take it off and on to charge it or whatever you need to do. So that's that on. We've got a control box on the side here, that's velcroed on the side. And what we need to do now is we need to route these ancillary cables for each particular part. We've got the head unit there, which obviously needs to go up to the handlebars. Okay, up there somewhere. We've got the motor power there to the motor, which needs to go off to the left hand side. And then we've got the sensor for the pedals off to that side first. So this is the bit that we'll actually do next, the pedal sensor. So let's crack on with that. So we've got the bottom bracket out, and I think due to the length on the right hand side of the bottom bracket, it would be better to put the speed sensor magnet on this side. This has been more room for that magnet to actually go further up. My worry is that when we get the crank arm on the right hand side, it's going to put too much pressure on the magnet and push it up against this particular end here and stop it from spinning. So we'll get the magnet on this side, and we'll just bob this bottom bracket back in. That's it. Need to make sure it doesn't foul anywhere. Glue, just clean that off on the right hand side. Just make sure we can glue as magnet ring on there. Get a little bit of super glue. That's it on there. And very carefully, without getting his fingers caught, I'll just move the camera around. There you go. And just push that on there as far as it'll go. Don't forget, that needs to be about 1 or 2 millimeters away from that little red pickup there. Let's put the crank arm on. That's it. Away from that pickup. That's it. And then we can put us other side on now. Normally put about 30 Newton meters on these if you have a torque wrench. If not, you can do them hand tight. You can feel it when they're on tight, and they're not going to come off. Here we are. Okay. Bob the chain back on very carefully. So what we need to do now is we need to secure this cable along the existing cables here to keep them nice and neat. But we'll go ahead and do that in a bit. So his next task is to actually route the controller, the handlebar controller, up along the stem and onto the end of the left hand bar here. It's probably best on the left because obviously the shifters are on the right, so this really needs to go on the left. So we'll get that up there. and we'll fasten that on there, and I'll come back in a bit. Okie dokie, right, we've got his head unit on. Okay, we've routed it nice and neatly through there, which will kind of tie wrap it to those cables when we've finished to make sure everything's nice and neat. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to secure a little magnet on the end of that brake lever. And then the other end, wherever it is, wherever it's gone, here it is. The other end contains a little sensor, a magnet sensor, that recognises when this magnet is pulled away from the end. And what that basically does is, once the brakes are applied, the motor cuts. It's more of a safety feature than anything else. So once that brake's applied there, then the motor cuts out. But what we need to do is, we need to get a magnet on there. Now the way we do that is, what I've done is, I've got this little magnet that Nano has supplied to us. You might be able to see it in there, inside there. And I've just held it on with a 4mm Allen key just to stop it actually moving. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to slide it on the end of this brake lever here, and I'm going to manipulate it round so the magnet, by the time I've finished, if I can get it right, will be on this point here of the brake. And very carefully, we need to just make sure this starts to shrink to the other side of the lever. And you can see that there. That's it. Don't want to get it too hot. There we are. You can start to see the outline of the magnet, the shape. That's it. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that as it is. Okay, it's nice and neat. It's not in the way, it's well secure. So I think we'll call that a day on that one. And then what we need to do then, we need to take the other side of the magnet. Let me unplug this. That's it. We need to feed this up the same way as we took as head unit cable. Okay. And we've got a really nice, tiny, wherever it's gone. There it is, okay. We've got some little rubber sleeve in here, which is self-adhesive on the back. And then what that does basically is we just slide that in there just a little bit, take that off, okay. And then this adhesive bit will clip, or stick rather, to the other side of there, but I need to clean that first, just to make sure that there's no oil on it. So I'll just give it a spray with brake cleaner. Okay. That's it. That gets any oil or contaminants that's off there already. Just to make sure we're rooted in the right place, and we are. Nice and clean. And we just stick that there. Okay. Now that should be in the right position, that when I apply the brake, that disconnects there. If it's a little bit too close to the magnet, I can pull the sensor a little bit further back. But then I just need to tie wrap that to there, just to make sure it's not going to come off. I do have some spare, just in case it decides to detach itself. But it is pretty strong stuff. So, the problem with being in the shop, the phone goes all the time. Let me get this. So as you can see, we've got this little magnet sensor on the lever here. It's self-adhesive to there, and I've just started to tidy it up with some cable wraps, and that should be all right there. And the magnet's in that little shrink wrap there as well, so that should be fine. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to tidy these cables up, make them nice and neat. Don't forget, obviously this Brompton's folding, so it needs to fold as it did before with no restrictions. So we just need to make sure these cables are tidy. So I'll tie wrap them all together and I'll come back and we'll connect the motor up. So we can see here, this is the wire from the motor and this is the connector from the controller. So we need to get them together, take this protection cover off. Okay, it only goes in one way and there should be 2 arrows on it. If you look at one side, there's one arrow. Where's the other arrow? There's the other arrow there. Okay, and they go together. And that just gently, without forcing it, there we are. That should fit nicely in there. There we are. Okay, and then what we need to do is we need to just double check that all this folds as it should do, as a Brompton should. Once it does that, then we can look at putting this in the right place and then we can go from there. And then all it's a matter of then is to connect the battery up and do some testing. So we've had the bike off the stand, we've folded it up like a Brompton should and it folds up fine, no problem at all. So what's left to do now basically is put some air in the tyre and what are you doing? Come here. Let me show you Olive. There's Olive, look. Olive's our shop dog. Say hello. Say hello, are you going to help? Are you? Olive's helping. Anyway, say bye-bye. Bye. So let's get some air back in the tyre and let's drop the battery on the front with the bag and we'll see how we go. We've got our battery pack here. We need to plonk it on here, clip it on there. Like that, okay. And then switch it on. In the top there's a little button inside. Let's go and have a look at the display. Okay, so we're all switched on, all plugged in. Now the moment of truth. There we are. So we can see that the actual unit turns on, so everything's set up as it should do. What we need to do now is make sure and check the functions. So first of all, we need to turn the pedals to make sure that the motor actually kicks in on the front wheel, which is the aim of the game. Also, we need to make sure that the emergency brake system cuts out the motor when we pull the left-hand brake. If you remember, we put the magnet sensor on the brake. So let's go ahead and do that now. Hey presto! We'll check the cutout on the left brake lever. Make sure that's working. We'll just go around the other side. Yep, that's working. Perfect. Brilliant. So that's how to convert your Brompton into an e-bike. Fairly straightforward. The kit's good, seems good quality. All that's left to do is to take it out for a test ride. Just cut these loose cable ties off and we're all good to go. Give it back to the customer. But what I'm going to do is, before we go, is thank you for subscribing, but also we're going to have a little bit of a tool tidy off. Now, a subscriber asked in a comment, it'd be good if we did a tool tidy off between me and Ryan. So the competition really is who's got the tidiest top 2 or 3 drawers. Now, I'm a little bit embarrassed about this because Ryan seems to have all his drawers well tidy and sorted out. And my top one's really good, but let's have a look. Let's see what you think. So this is Ryan's tools chest. So let's open the top drawer and let's see how he's got it. Oh dear, look at that. That's really, really good. So let's have a look at next one. Oh my days. Right, let's have a look at mine. There we go. This is my top one. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. I think that's quite nice and neat. Let's open next one. Oh yeah, not bad, not bad. Oh dear. Anyway, thanks for watching. Total Pip.